GM, everyone. Welcome to another episode of DevGuild. I'm your host, Merdan. I'm the DevGuild at Superteam. And today we're joined by Leo, the co-founder of Blueshift. Leo, great to have you on.
Thank you. I think at this point I'm kind of a legacy year. I guess it's probably
Yeah,
the fourth time that I'm here on this podcast. But well, can we call it podcast? I don't know. But still, I'm super excited as always to be here joining one of my friends, Merdan, to uh, to chat about AI, software development, smart contract development, everything Solana, pretty much.
exactly. Yeah, and now that you mention it, like Leo's, I think one of the first guys that I met in the space, one of the first friends that I made. A true OG. I don't think he needs an introduction, but yeah, he's a co-founder of Blueshift, which is a learning platform where you can learn Solana development. And just like Leo mentioned already, we will be talking about Solana, AI-assisted Solana development today, kind of like a hot topic, but it's always a hot topic. AI is always a hot topic. We will cover things like tooling, workflows, MCPs, skills, rules, and then we will go over we will do a live build where we build a Solana, a Vault program. And then we will also talk about the Tenity hackathon, which is ongoing right now, or it hasn't started yet, I think. Which has like over 200K in prizes, which it could be interesting to some. And then, of course, there's also Colosseum starting soon. So I think this episode will cover a lot. So if you want to prep for all of these, this is definitely the right place to be. Yeah. So to kick things off, I kind of want to start with Blueshift first before we dig deeper into the AI tooling stuff, because I think having a solid fundament and fundamentals of Solana can definitely be helpful before you start with AI development. But yeah, can you tell us a bit about like Blueshift and where people could start and things like
Yeah,
that?
for sure. So first of all, if you don't know about Blueshift, not gonna make it. So please go visit the website first, blueshift.gg. But now coming back to a more serious topic, definitely what Blueshift is what pretty much me and Dean and David, my co-founder, wanted when we started on Solana. So naturally now has grown into different kind of things. We have three different verticals. That is naturally the learning platform, where we're going to talk a little bit more about today. Then we have like our own tooling, open source department, we could call it. Pretty much there we ship crazy stuff. So for example, testing framework, we focus a lot on like the low level software, so optimization path, assembly, and pretty much everything that could speed up Solana and EBRL, the future. And then last and for all, we have the dev shop, where we mainly take care of like institutional partner and Web2, big Web2 player that are coming onto the blockchain. So coming back to the learning platform, as I said before, this was exactly the piece of education that we wanted to hear on Solana 4 years ago. Me and Dean both taught. I guess we can say that we taught 60% of all the people, all the current active developer on Solana. Merdan was actually one of them, and this is how we met the first time. And so pretty much in these 4 years, by building open source examples, by building content, and by teaching all these people, we amassed all the knowledge for people for, we can call it newbies that maybe are starting. So like what they're interested in learning, and like how they approach Solana for the first time. But even more, the more advanced people, since we build software and we built a lot of it in the last 4 years. So we're pretty smart about like what type of optimization you could do, what type of pattern you could see in a Solana smart contract, what tool to use for testing, what tool to use for building SDK and everything, pretty much to make it just faster and cheaper to develop new app on Solana. Naturally, this was before the advent of AI. And I would say that this doesn't make our learning platform completely obsolete, but naturally now it makes it even more powerful, because with the random amount of basics, you can actually build, like, the way that I see AI is not like I can just vibe code something, but it's like I can reach into another type of knowledge than what I am actually currently in, by leveraging what I actually know and what I think the final product should look like. And I can fill usually these gaps between like the final software and what I actually know right now, what I'm actually comfortable right now with AI.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask next, because there are so many people that are like just shipping things straight away. So let's say without like basic knowledge about like Anchor, for instance, or like Solana basics. So you would definitely be against that, right? So learn the basics first, and then Blueshift is a great place to do that, obviously. And then you can use AI to amplify what you learned and then ship faster.
100%, 100%. But naturally, please guys, be aware, vibe coding is not viable, but assisted coding is actually doable. So that's a very, very small nuances that a lot of people don't know about it. I wouldn't say that people that have zero context and zero experience and zero everything can't build a software from scratch. Naturally, when we talk about something like a smart contract that needs to be maybe 3, even 4 times more secure than a normal web application, this is where like some of the nuances come in, and like you might need to pay real attention and at least know a little bit about what you're building.
Exactly. And of course, like if the projects get bigger as well, that's also a problem. Like that's when the first problems start to merge, because in the beginning things are like really cool and you can accelerate. But then once the next JS project or your programs are more, and then problems surface.
100%, 100%. In fact, like once we go into like actually building something live, what I would say is like I actually spend probably 90, if not 95% of my time when I code with AI on like the plan, and then 5%, because like even before AI, the R part of like writing software is not actually writing it, because like once you wrote a lot of lines, once you wrote a lot of example and everything, you can just like pick and choose. You already pretty much know how everything looks like, and it's just like a matter of like actually putting the code into writing. But even before AI, the actual part that requires so much more time and so much more attention and so much more everything was actually the planning phase. It's like, how does the architecture look like? Because like the main problem with AI and in general with software development is like you need to forecast a lot of the development upfront, because if you then figure out that you need a new feature that requires to change everything, that's when like you can do it 1 time, you can do it 2 times, you can do it 3 times. At the 4th time, your code base is a mess. So that's something important to think about when you start coding with AI.
Yep, fully agree. And I actually wanted to ask this question later on, but now that you mentioned it, you can basically give your AI model, like whether you could use Claude or Codex or whatever, you could give it full access, and then you could give it skills if you want. You could give it an MCP server connection, rules, and you could technically run it overnight so that you could ship overnight. And you hear this phrase in Solana a lot, where they say execution velocity is your only moat, especially from Anatoly. So you could technically ship a lot more. What's your take on that? Would you recommend something like that, or are you against it? What's your experience?
So there are 2 things that the age of AI pretty much like created. So first of all, like naturally the speed of and the velocity of building something collapses so much that you can build a feature in an hour. that might have required a week. But at the same time, it's like this creates a little bit of a dopamine rush, because like every time you ship something, it's like, oh fuck, I did it. Oh wow, this is great. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But the problem is like there are so many things that are actually not worth shipping, that this kind of like dopamine mechanism where you get rewarded every time you ship a feature can cloud a little bit the judgment of like, is this feature really worth shipping? On the other side, what I actually do a lot when I work with like my team and like other people, clients and stuff, is like I can actually get an MVP ready in like 2 hours, 3 hours. So it's like I don't actually create any more of like product spec. What I actually try to do usually is like, instead of creating a product spec, it's like, let's actually try to code it. It's like, this is how the product looks like. So let's just like code it. I look at the code, it's like, okay, yeah, but actually the product should look like this way. And so it's like, you refine pretty much the product spec by looking at the code and by actually having an MVP build. So then you can go to the client and see, this is what I'm thinking, this is how it look like, this is how it will work like, and they can actually give you back the feedback. So there are two sides of the medal. There's like, yes, you can ship a lot more feature very, very fast, but I don't think that's the real value. But the real value is actually getting to an MVP so fast that you can actually get the feedback from other person, your team, and everything, to see if that's actually really, really valuable. And then scrap everything and rebuild it from scratch.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you like rapid prototyping is where it can help a lot, and then you basically build it from the ground up because of like security concerns and everything. Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay. That brings us to our next point as well. You already mentioned it to me before, but like, there are different tools, there's skills, there are MCPs, there are rule files that I personally like a lot. What's your take on all of those? And do you use any Solana specific ones?
So for smart contract, actually, I don't think it's extremely valuable. Like naturally, it's valuable to give some point of feedback, but like the eye is so trained on like Anchor programs that when you try to write something in Anchor, usually it just like one shot it. Since like, it doesn't require a lot of like external context, in my opinion. Naturally, the MCP and like all these different like Solana related stuff shine when you're building maybe like the front end, the back end, and other stuff that are maybe less documented and more like niche. But when you think about smart contracts, since you have like one way of writing software, and that way is pretty standardized, pretty easy, because it's catered to like people that don't know anything about Solana, maybe most of the time don't know even anything about coding. It's usually can just figure it out on itself. And at the same time, it's like, I'm a little bit of a boomer, so when I when I find something that it's that it works for me, doesn't require anything, I try to strive away from like super optimization path, because what happens usually when you go too deep into the optimization is like, naturally there is like a piece of software that comes up every day. It's like, oh yeah, now we have memory. Oh yeah, now we have swarms. Oh yeah, now we have this. Oh now we have... And like, if you continue to refine your workflow, it's pretty much every time you start from scratch. So I actually prefer to maybe compound the 80% that takes me there, and just maybe refine a couple of times if I see something that is like, oh wow, this actually will fit incredibly well into my workflow, and maybe I'll add it. But if not, usually I just like use only stock stuff, only really easy stuff. Naturally, I have my superpower, we can say, like the more niche based stuff. Naturally, I train my own skills and agents on like all my more niche stuff when I need to work on them. But at the same time, it's like, that's the compound that you get by writing 10,000 hours of software, where you can just like teach an AI and say, hey, this is like my 10,000 hours of learning. Here's what I discover. Create a skill file for me. So when I actually use that piece of software, that niche piece of software, you actually know everything. And at the same time, I have so many references of like old Anchor program, old Pinocchio program, that I just usually try to use my own, or just like point to a repo that I really actually like, that might be in really similar to what I'm trying to build.
That brings me to another point. You just mentioned that you have your own skill files. Like the last time I checked Blueshift, which was today, there was nothing AI related. Will there maybe something in the future which will be like AI related?
So we're working through that. We want to really do it right. We don't want to do it just for ticking a box. So one thing that we were thinking is like, and actually we were talking about this Merdan before we actually hopped on, and it was that pretty much the role of a dev role is pretty much that. Nobody asks you any question about like like how does this piece of software work. And so one cool thing about it is like now we have all these lessons and all these like courses and stuff that are still pretty relevant. But at the same time, it's like in the age of AI, probably what we would do and could do is actually instead of like having people go through the documentation, just create a skill file from all the documentation that we have. So it's like introduction to Anchor course, here's an Anchor skill based on all the content. Testing with Mollusk, here's a skill file based on Mollusk. Pinocchio, here's a skill based on Pinocchio. And so all this type of stuff will probably be better for the end user because they could just like get the skill file, plug it into whatever they're working on, or just like feed it to an agent through the CLI and say, yeah, go look at the skill file from like introduction to Pinocchio. So this is something that we're working on and we're gonna do it in the future, but we want to really, really do it right. And so that's why currently we don't have anything AI related on Blueshift.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, the quality of the courses obviously are also like really important. And I think you guys do a really great job with that. And just like you mentioned before, like there's something new every day, basically. Just yesterday, like Perplexity, it was all over my Twitter timeline. They mentioned that they no longer support MCP and that they go away from that. And you basically get something new about AI every day. I want to share a quick list though, because while prepping the today's session episode, I was just like curious and went over some of the tools that I could find, MCP skills. And this is basically like, today is like March 12th. And depending on when you are watching, this might be outdated already. So definitely be cautious with that. And we should probably also mention that like you need to be like really careful with skill files and MCPs even, because like they can be malicious. So just like Leo mentioned, that's like his skill file is probably like the $1 million skill file. If you can get access to that, that would be huge. But yeah, now that we have covered this, I guess we could dig deeper now into the program development. And as we mentioned before, we will go over a Volt program, a simple Volt program with AI. And yeah, Leo, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to share, maybe Merdan, you can help me to share into the comments. So one of the agentic framework and in pretty much like in general like AI framework that I've been using a lot is called Superpowers, and it's pretty much like a huge skill file where inside you have like planning, working, setting up agents and stuff like that. So it pretty much work with like Git trees and stuff like and everything. And I've been using it for like 2 weeks now. And it's actually pretty good. Like I really enjoy it. So that's something that if you guys want to maybe figure out like how to use Cloud Code in the right way, this is probably the best way.
Interesting. What is it called again?
Superpower.
Superpower. Okay. I mean, we will share the resources at the end of the stream as well. And obviously, like you can rewatch the stream as well. And there was also a comment whether we do this live or this is recorded. This is live, guys. You can ask questions in the chat. We will answer them most likely towards the end. So if you have any questions, AI related or Blueshift related, Solana programs related, definitely write them down. And yeah.
Nice. I guess time to go in.
Yep.
Let me see if I can share my screen. So let's start from scratch. Perfect. Can you guys share? Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'll make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see. So pretty much everything starts always with Claude, dangerous keep permissions. Always. Don't trust the people that says that it's not safe. It's probably safe enough that you guys can just like use that. But yeah, clicking inputs not gonna make it. So after that, what we can do is first of all, we're working to a permission vault. So as I said before, the most important part is the plan. So we're not gonna talk about Solana. We're not gonna tell anything about like the AI that we're gonna build it on Solana, et cetera, et cetera. What we are actually doing is first of all compiling. Naturally, if anybody has been in DeFi for the past 6 months, the most important piece of DeFi infrastructure that is being built usually is actually this permission vault or vault in general. And so we can call it managed vault, permission vault, we can call it whatever. So first of all, what you guys should do is to actually find an example of like where this is used, from what company it actually tried to fit to AI, how you want to maybe adapt that to be able to work on Solana. So let's say we are really, really lucky in blockchain, and because there are these things called ERC that are pretty much, I think they're called, there are Ethereum requests for comment or something like that. But it's pretty much usually since Ethereum works completely different from Solana, Ethereum usually needs to have standards and standards interface to actually work. So there is usually a standard interface for a vault already developed. And in this case is ERC 4626. So we're gonna tell the AI, look at this doc. You can find it on Open Zeppelin. And we're trying to build a permission vault like what Ethena does for SUSD. I think it's called EUSD, I think. No, I don't know. EUSD. What we would like to do is to create a vault managed by a keeper, by a manager, we could say, managed by a manager that can deposit into different lending markets on Solana based on the highest interest available. Please, let's discuss some of the feature that might be important. On this new standard we are creating. So,
Leo, real quick, can you zoom in a bit more?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Nice. So there is a brainstorming skill that is getting called by, in this case, I think this is getting called from Superpower. That is going to pretty much like load all the requests that I have, and pretty much just like figure out what's the best path forward for this. So perfect. So we probably want to have whitelisted, and this is where like your previous expertise comes in, and this is why like programmers are not actually that, is because, for example, it's like, oh yeah, I would like to do a whitelist based user access where the manager can post a Merkle root that gets verified at every deposit. So pretty much it's like, we need to figure out, do we want to whitelist a user? Probably yes, because this is for accredited investor. So it's like, how do we whitelist a user? There are two paths. There is an expensive path, there is a cheaper path, but it's like less decentralized. The easiest path, but it's a little bit more expensive, you could create a PDA derived from the user. And the PDA is a program derived address. Doesn't need to have any state saved inside of it. It just needs to say, okay, this account exists, and this means that this user is accredited for this vault. The second path is actually to use a Merkle tree. And so what we do is pretty much say, every time we add a person, we update the Merkle tree, the Merkle root to actually have an entry of the user inside of our database. And what we do after on chain is to actually just figure out the how's it called? Just figure out like how to verify that proof. And I would say the other superpower is the fact that, first of all, we as Blueshift and me as Leo, we create so many open source stuff. So what I could do is actually, there is a Merkle root. Yeah, there is a Merkle tree. I guess this is a Merkle tree token claimer, but it's fine. That I could feed AI to explain exactly how I wanted to do it. So and so we continue to go on. The real power about Brainstorm is like, we are not writing any piece of code before we don't actually have something that we like. So the real important part is like really plan forward and like really ask AI if you're missing anything while you write a product spec. Let's see. In the meantime, if anybody has any question, we're waiting for AI to be done, so we're good. Nice. So what goes into each Merkle leaf? Probably just an address, and we can say like, yeah, I guess just an address, because we're just checking if this is an accredited investor or not. So we're going to just add the address in the leaf. Through it, we have, what's the key feature? Share accounting. Yes, we should do share accounting in tokens. And the cool thing about tokens, so first of all, is like, since this is a platform for only accredited investor, we shouldn't actually let anybody trade those tokens. So what we could do is creating a token with token 2022 and the default, or with a token 2022 with the default state extension. And pretty much what the default state extension does is that whenever anybody creates a token account, it actually is frozen. So you cannot perform any transfer to it. So this is really interesting, because we could add into this accredited investor vault, we could add a transfer function where the only way you can actually transfer the shares of this vault is only P2P between two accredited investor. So this is what I'm gonna say the AI to do.
Someone asks, what exactly are we building? We are building a vault program, a permission vault program.
Perfect. So manager allocation engine. So we really want to do something easy. So yeah, we could just do an allocate and deallocate thing as AI is suggesting. So the Merkle gated access control, the manager post update Merkle true, every deposit instruction require proof leak data, withdrawal do they also require proof? Yes. We can actually skip on that, because since we know that all the token accounts are locked and can be only transferred if we already know that this is a credited investor, that's actually, we don't need any check on the withdrawal side. The fee structure we can do let's do for simplicity just a management fee. Actually, no. Let's do an entry and exit fee since it's pretty easy. And then the share price is calculated by getting the current NAV from the market where we are allocated. Nice. So now let's wait a little bit for them to be done, and then we're going to be good to go. Guess
What
we're.
What do you usually do when AI is thinking or?
I usually run another AI. I usually run like five different things. So it's like I usually cycle through all of them. Or yeah, unfortunately, I just brain rot on Twitter. So
yeah, I think that's what a lot of us do.
So let's see. We have another question. I think we're going to be like we're really, really close. So all should transfer between we should always on verify. So the token accounts must stay locked all the time. Both addresses are whitelisted at the time of the transfer. NAV should be computed by the share of pools into the lending markets and their value. Cool. So we're almost done. I guess the thing that it's really, really valuable here is just like how we go through the plan. I guess like after we finish the plan, like, oh, the plan is ready, we can just work on it. I guess like at that point, it's like we're just gonna wait 25 minutes for the AI to be completely done. So probably it's not really worth it. But I hope that now you're learning a little bit about like how someone should plan about it, like how somebody should be, and like why it's still very, very important to have like some basic idea of like how Solana works and like all the different things that Solana can do. So the only thing that we're missing seems to be the fee model. Just take a cut of the money going in and going out in base token. So in this case, USDC. Does anybody have any question about what we're doing here?
No, there are no questions yet.
Let's see. Okay, we should be good on creating the spec, and let's go through the spec together. And so at this point, it's like you get a spec back, and after the spec is back, you pretty much like go through all the flow in your mind, and you think through if there are any problem whatsoever in any of the parts that you're actually building.
Have you tried Codex as well, Leo?
Yes, but I prefer Claude because Codex might be better to one-shot stuff, but it takes so much time that it takes less time to go through 3 or 4 iterations of Claude code in the same time that Codex give me back the one response. So if Codex fucks it up, then I need to really wait a long time. Instead, it's like cloud code is pretty much like shooting from the hip. So usually I can steer it a little bit more into like what I actually want to do, but I can use it a lot more to brainstorm and to like figure out some ideas.
Okay, interesting. They have this 2x usage thing right now. So I think a lot of people use Codex now. But I actually like it, to be honest. Especially like you get a lot more for your money, I think. And I think it's also like pretty good. But it is a bit slow, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I don't like it. So luckily, Blueshift sponsor my credits, so I can just get the 200 bucks one and just like use as much as I can. Cool. We're creating a plan, I guess. Maybe we're done. Let's see.
So you just mentioned that like you need the basic, obviously, like Solana knowledge. Is there like a specific course that you would recommend people regarding the Vault stuff? I know there is a Vault course that you could, mention.
So there is a Vault challenge, but the Vault naturally in that case is very, very easy. It's just like teaching you the most basic program that you could ever written. For on the program side, what I would say is like there are two different courses that are really, really important for Solana. That is like Introduction to Anchor and Introduction to Blockchain and Solana. Because in Introduction to Solana, you pretty much like have how Solana works. And this is really, really important because you need to understand how the account model works, what's a PDA, what's a CPI, and everything else pretty much to start building a program. And then I guess in this occasion, probably it would be worth it to have like token, like an introduction to the token program, and introduction to the token 2022 program. But yeah, pretty much now we have our this is why I really like Superpower, because it actually creates extremely detailed explanation with the full code most of the time already inside of it. So this is what I really like about the whole Superpower stuff. So yeah, pretty much we have a full spec, and now what I would do usually is just like, perfect, this looks good, please execute, coordinate a swarm of agent to build this up. And Superpower has swarms and agents already integrated with it. So it's just gonna figure it out what can be parallelized and what cannot be parallelized, and just like figure it out for me. But yeah, I guess that was it.
Okay. I mean, that took I think like 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
True. Naturally, now it's like, now you need to build, like probably with agents will take like another 45 minutes probably. Then you need to figure out like, okay, now test it out. And then it's like, okay, now I'll do a deep review to figure out what critical vulnerability you have created into my code and stuff like that. So it will probably take like 4 hours or something more, but still, it's pretty good.
Exactly. I mean, it took you, I don't know how many times you have done this. You've probably, countless times, but
hundreds of times.
Exactly. So like for a beginner, it might take a bit longer, but obviously like we also want to emphasize that you should probably like go on Blueshift and learn the basics and, learn about Solana like 101, all the PDA stuff and like program development, and then go through the Vault challenge. And then you will probably have it easier to ship a Vault program with AI. But yeah, that's basically your recommendation, right?
Yes, exactly. Learn what you're doing before actually writing any code, please.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any other recommendations, especially for people that start just like newbies, I guess? That, yeah.
I think just look at luckily Solana has a lot of examples of code. You can feed it to AI, you can look through it, and like you can just figure out what's the best way to actually move forward in that sense, I think. But yeah, be curious. Like don't just like have your agents work on it. Please, like be curious, ask questions like, why do you do this way? Why did you do that way? Because it's both like a sanity check for the agent because it's gonna fall back and say, is this really right? Maybe it's wrong. And at the same time, like you can actually upscale into this topic much faster than just like learning from the textbooks.
Exactly. That's actually something that I ask myself, because I know people that just like use AI right away. So they don't go over the Solana basics. And I guess like they learn by doing, by asking once things, when problems happen, or when just like by doing. But I personally prefer the first approach, where you kind of learn the basics. I think it's like less headaches, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think like at the like at the current time, both are kind of might be working, but later on it could obviously create some more problems when the project gets bigger. But yeah, so this stuff is also really relevant for the ongoing hackathon, which I want to share with you real quick. There is this hackathon called StableHacks 2026. And it actually, the submission, the deadline is at March 22nd. And there's basically a lot of, the prize pool is huge, 220K. And the focus area of the hackathon is institutional permission DeFi vaults. This is part of the reason why we did it today. There's cross-border stablecoin treasury. There is programmable stablecoin payments, and there's RWA-backed stablecoin and commodity vaults. So this is basically lays a strong fundament of if you want to participate or generally want to go into this direction. And I'm really curious, Leo, because you're also a multiple times hackathon winner, and you know a lot about hackathons. If Leo would participate in this hackathon today, what would be the something that he would build, or at least like what would be the direction that you would go? There's this 4 topics, these 4 right here. What would you do?
So it's actually quite funny because programmable stablecoin payments is the way that I won the hackathon 2 years ago. So
Exactly.
and that's exactly my startup. So probably will repick that. But actually, no, I think it will probably be much more fun to have institutional permission DeFi vault. It's something that a lot of our clients ask us a lot. So being able to, first of all, create a way for anybody to create a vault. So it's like not just like creating ad hoc vault for each of everyone. It's like Solana makes it very, very easy to create like a standardized standard vault where anybody can build on top of that. So that probably will be much more interesting for me right now. And it could actually be a lot more valuable, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, while we are talking about this, I think it's also worth to mention that this thing right here exists. There is this something called grid from Squats that I want to share with you as well. And what it basically is, it's like a stablecoin API for like accounts, payments, cards, yield, and everything that you can basically use to build stuff for this hackathon. And it will basically accelerate your development, because they have so many things that you can just use through APIs. They have an SDK that you can use. where you can like build stuff like Altitude, which is their program, which is their product, but for like maybe a more niche environment. I think there's like, I saw something from Multicoin Capital where they talked about stuff like, stablecoin fintech for like K-pop artists, or like more like niche places where you can build like a more efficient product, and then you can basically ship that with Grid so much quicker. Leo, do you have any experience with Grid, or do you know about Grid?
Yeah. Grid is very, very good for anything stablecoin related. So if you guys want to do anything, you should reach out to the squads team.
Exactly. There's a question. What's the prize money for each position? Of course, that's a really important question. Let me show you, because there is not, I don't think there is prize money in that you get USDC, but there's basically API credits that you can get. Let me show you again. Yeah, you get basically, this is like cumulative prize pool of 220K. And then there's a Mina Bank where you get like 3 pilot opportunities that are worth 100K. You get SoulStream access from Solstice, so which is kind of cool. And then, of course, you can get 3 spots for the Berlin build station from actually us, Superteam Germany. You can get a 10K worth of equity grant from Superteam Germany from us as well. And that in total is like 220K, basically. So there is no prize money, but I think this is also like really valuable. But of course, it's your decision to participate or not. And another thing that I want to mention is, if you're already building for this, you can, of course, also submit for Colosseum, which is also around the corner, and which is like the next question I want to ask Leo, as a previous winner, of course. I think Colosseum will kick off like in April. Like, what's your advice, I guess, for people that are want to participate? Obviously, like, they have plenty of time to prep for their submission, for ideas. Is there like a specific thing that you would recommend digging into, or a direction that they look into?
So first, this is an advice for anyone that wants to build a startup. So not only for Colosseum, and it's like really find something that you like, because it's going to be really difficult. So it's like, don't just do something that you think is gonna rake any profits, or it's going to naturally. Yeah, like you need to do something that people likes, that people can get feedback on, and like that is actually useful for people. But at the same time, it's like try to find something at intersection of usability and what actually you enjoy. Because if you don't enjoy, you're gonna have a big problem building a startup.
Totally agree. Also, like, just like Leo mentioned, Colosseum is like more than a hackathon, because it goes like for 4 weeks, and is also like more like a startup challenge or a startup competition. And then the kind of like difficult part is to commit and build out what you have done, because at the end of the day, there will be pivots, and it is more like a thesis that you're working on. So yeah, great advice from there as well. Do you guys have any other questions? Because we are slowly coming to the end. Or Leo, is there something that you want to mention or that you want to mention before we wrap it up? Something
I think
new,
we
Blueshift or some other alpha that you want to mention?
No, I'm not gonna say any alpha, but I'm gonna just say that Solana program will become much faster, much sooner than we expected. So just putting it out there, no more alpha. You just have to follow Blueshift Blueshift, the Blueshift Twitter page to actually see the alpha in real time.
Okay, I mean, that is good alpha, I think. It's blueshift.gg, guys.
And Blueshift is our Twitter page.
Exactly. I think your Twitter page is like really irritating because dude, you definitely irritate with me a lot because it's not an O, it's a 0.
Oh, yeah, my personal page, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And on Telegram, it's also something else. So definitely be careful with that. Okay, guys, it was a great episode. I think there was plenty of alpha. Obviously, like if you joined late, you can always rewatch the video. It will be uploaded to YouTube. There is a lot that we have covered. Strong fundamentals. Go check out blueshift.gg. There's definitely a lot to learn. And yeah, Leo, if you don't have anything else to say, we can wrap it up. Nothing else?
Let's do it. Nothing else. Nothing else.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching and see you next week, actually. Next week, we will be talking about perps on Solana. So everything perpetual futures related. And we will have a special guest as well. So if you are really into perpetuals, definitely don't miss that. And yeah, okay. See you guys. Take care.
See ya.